Okay, so I'm just making a recording about where I live and how everything is about mind control of any relatively normal person, human being. It sounds not right to be making this video. It sounds to me like unreal, like I don't feel real making it. But that's because I've become aware that my reality is not real. And that's the problem for most human beings. Whether you become conscious of it or whether you are in denial of it or just plain like myself most of my life oblivious to it. When you're in denial of it, I think that's like some people I've seen. That means that it can be brought to your attention that you're living in a controlled world and that everything is not natural and random, but you deny it. That's usually if you're part of it. Because naturally, if you're part of a control system, if you're part of a stalking program, if you're part of a mind control, deliberate suppression program of particular humans in your area, then of course you are going to deny it. But that's not the same as like self-denial, I don't think. Self-denial is where, as you know, where you can still be brought facts to your attention about your reality, but you deny them because they're too much for you. They conflict too much with what you thought was your reality or real, and it's disturbing, and you hope that it'll go away. That's what I would have done in the past if some of what I now realise had been presented to me. But it's a different matter when this control system around you comes down on you and exposes itself in an all-inclusive big way that you can't ignore because it's so openly suppressive. Whereas if you saw a little bit of suppression in the past or a little bit of, say, covert watching, you might just deny it and say, well, it's passing, it's temporary, it's not a lot, so you ignore the evidence of a watching bunch of people, say, around you. You think it for a few seconds, you become conscious that it seems a little out of place or intrusive, as I would have done in the past. But you think, oh, well, it's only temporary, so you forget about it. But that's all I'm trying to say, is that this matrix that's around people, by that I mean artificial human beings or human beings that are using technology, advanced technology, to covertly, secretly watch other human beings with the intention of trying to control them, keep them in their place, keep them the way they want them, either in the dark or living like myself at a very low level. You know, where you're basically just surviving, just living at a very basic level. You're not interacting much, you're not socializing much, you're not causing any waves in their control local system. By local, I mean what's around a human being. We know what local means, but really, every human being's reality is only what you see and hear. So everything that's around me that I hear and see is my reality. Sure, I know there's a bigger world and you have your computer to give you access to what you think is the rest of the so-called real world. This, of course, is not true either. It's all real, but it's also all staged. So it's real, but it's staged. It's not random. It's designed to kind of keep control of your mind or influence your mind, or it's mind control, in other words, because it is like if you get news or information that is staged and that isn't really happening, or that is where the information is twisted so that you see things a certain way, which may not be how they really are. It's a bit like when you listen to gossip about someone. If it's not true, that gossip is designed to paint a picture of that person. And that, of course, is what the androids that surround human beings also do. They use information that is basically misinformation about people, so that people get a false impression of someone, and therefore they might act on that false impression. So that's why many of the patrollers, the stalkers that are really controllers, can even probably, even in my own vicinity, elicit support from innocent human beings, because if they are told information, about people, particularly if it's like myself, where you tend to keep to yourself and you tend to be a bit eccentric, so therefore people can paint a picture of you that may or may not be true. They may even, like much information that is on the internet, completely fabricate even information, because there is no limits that these android artificial people won't go to control their reality, because they think they will lose everything if they don't keep control, because their whole basis of existence is about control. It's a psychopathic type of nature. Essentially, it's the equivalent of 99.9% of the people around you being psychopaths. And the thing that makes it impossible to survive is that you have all these psychopaths combining, using technology, communicating one another in a total workforce together to control you, or to watch you and monitor you, and then if you sort of don't fit into their program, or if you make any sort of ripple in their bubble of control, then they basically come down on you. They try to destroy your reality, because if you're surrounded by a total control force that is all around you, where every vehicle is pulling in and out in front of you, surrounding you in an aggressive, stalking manner, every car making excessively loud noise, every vehicle making really bad noise as they go past, that makes you feel, I was about to say uncomfortable, but it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable. It makes you feel like that sound. Basically, it makes you feel aggressive and unhappy, and your mind and your senses can hardly tolerate it, especially when it's continual, which it is, because if it's most vehicles on the road and some of the sound is unbearably loud and of a very aggressive nature, and this is continual, but also you never know when they're going to do it. Like, basically you're in fear because you're like, are you going to be hit with incredibly negative sound, which is a vibration, a frequency. Sound is frequency, vibration. I was told that a few years ago. That essentially is the same as an attack on your senses. And sound, it has been shown, I'm told, can have a devastating, very anti-life effect on your mind. It can destroy you. It can destroy your mind. It can make you, drive you to a very bad state of mind. And depending on the person, I would imagine, that could be many things. I know that for me to think certain ways is against my nature, but I have been driven into thinking things that I wouldn't have thought were possible because of these anti-life, android, psychopathic beings that are around me, that patrol and try to control my mood, try to control my emotions, and are trying to force me to react daily in a negative manner. They want you to explode. They want you to be... Basically, they're trying to put their own mindset onto you, and that's actually what we're told about the malignant, which means malignant is like very, we know what the word malignant means, so it's a very negative word, isn't it? So these malignant narcissists, steeped in the spirit of narcissism, that means, total self-centered preservation. They're essentially survival machine beings. And that's exactly what they are, because most is artificial intelligence. Even though it looks like real humans, artificial intelligence has advanced to a very high level. The more advanced the intelligence and the more information they get about what it is to be human, the more they can copy and be a replicant, I was about to say replicant, but that's because that is actually another word for an android, but they can be a total replica of a real human being, and you can't tell the difference. And as they concentrate on that, like it's a performance for them. The performance becomes real over time. If you start copying what it is to be a real human from quite a young age, and you have the advantage of understanding human beings even more through the Android internet, which is really built to help the androids know what the human beings are up to and what they're thinking and how aware they are becoming of the reality. This is another thing. It's not actually a benefit for a human being, the internet or computer, at all. It was invented to help their kind, the others, the androids, the psychopathic, narcissistic, android, androgyne, artificially intelligent beings that pretend to be the real humanity, and they have total control over real humans in every area. Make no mistake about that, they control everything, just as they control my reality, and just as they control the internet, and just as they have controlled even the creative fields, such as music, all the arts, past, present and future, all controlled by android beings or those that worship, follow and are disciples of the technical God of this world. I'm just I never know what I'm actually going to film here or record, and I didn't even choose this particular music icon idol video. And I say icon because they essentially are iconing human beings. In other words, when they say icon you, all the music artists in some respects are icons because they do con, or in a way they deceive human beings also, because although they are the most creative and the most beautiful of the demigods, they are still disciples for the God of this world, and they use their creativity to seduce human beings into listening to them, relating to them, giving them your energy, which is their aim, your admiration, which is their aim, which is a form of energy. Because if you admire something much more than yourself, you're giving yourself to them, and that's transhumanism, and that's what takes place on the screen and when you worship a false idol. It's hard to understand that these false idols are false. That is a mind-controlling plane, a watching, controlling, patrolling plane going over my roof while I record. It's very early in the morning, so it should still be quite quiet for a bit, and as yet no patrol cars on this small, so-called quiet dead-end street. It should be a small, quiet dead-end street, and only in the early hours is it a small, quiet, dead-end street. But they are still always watching your every move. Can you hear is the mobile picking up the, what I call, almost, can you hear that it probably won't be picked up, but these are aircraft circling around the house? And could you hear the beeping of the horn as I said that? That is that actual vehicle, which is not on this street even, a block or two away, actually mind controlling me by beeping its horn back at my comment, because those beings have all been given access to my thoughts and my every move and my every action, and they're basically just studying me in order to imitate me, in order to pretend to be the most real human being. Because the more eccentric you are as a human being and the more silly you might appear, they actually realise that although it's not desirable, it's still very human, and they just want to imitate being a real human. They will add finer points to their own thing, you know, if you know what I'm saying. But the planes are over my head, see? Straight over my head, every day, all day, and half the night, and wherever you go. But that's only part of the patrol force. That's a very minor part of the patrol force, and I won't show any more, even though they will continually go over. But I don't want to be out there on the street filming too much, because it's not a good idea at all. Not a good idea. Oh, those are your elite, they're your elite demigods, your elite androgynes, your elite stars of the matrix or of Earth. They're your elite examples of a feminine androgyne. You know, your elite duality beings. That means you are, in their eyes, the best of both worlds, because you combine the two original man-woman that were meant to naturally create into one being. All artificial intelligence, of course, is an android and a duality being. This is just common knowledge, so I shouldn't be repeating things that are obvious, but at the same time, you know, it's simply so, but it also is part of the deception too. So it's just important so that people realise that this is another aspect of determining what you are interacting with or what's around you, because they're all the same beings. They're not normal, natural, individual human beings. They're the equivalent patrolling red car in front there, see? Patrolling red car that doesn't belong here. Patrolling neighbours in front coming out of their house, but I'm not going to film them. I'm going to go inside, and I'm not going to film any more of the military patrolling, controlling planes. And I'm also just going to try to before the matrix starts winding up for the day, or winding, coming more into prevalence. In other words, before they start with the excessive noise on the street, because they can't do that till a certain time. They make rules about, because they realise that normal human beings wouldn't tolerate excessively loud, disruptive, annoying, disturbing, technical, mechanical sounds of work being done, say at 2 or 3 in the morning, because people have to have some sleep. They make it so that they can be as noisy as possible at certain times. So that time hasn't started yet because it's early in the morning, but very soon it will. So I shall try to keep going here with the recording before excessive noise starts, because I find it very hard to concentrate anyway. And I try to film a little bit, a minuscule of some noise when it happens. Most of the time, even if I'm here and the mobile is next to me and it's working, I'm usually too tired and too exhausted to actually even film it, because it overwhelms me. It almost incapacitates you when you get really brought down mentally by excessive sound, because sound is a vibration, a frequency, and everything is frequency and vibration. A human being receives frequency and vibration. A human being is frequency and vibration. It gives out frequency and vibration. This we know is true. I've been told this over the last few years because I had to discover why everyone was patrolling me and making excessive noise around me, why I wasn't given a moment's peace from the presence of these beings through either their physical presence or usually in combination with them making excessive noise. But they were always taking over my senses, 24 hours a day almost, or at least as much as they possibly could. Most of the time, when I'm inside, I'm being controlled by their computer system, because I have to distract myself from reality. And also I try to get information from the computer, so you become addicted to your own truth even. And you try to find a diversion. But then when you go outside, their control system starts up around you. As soon as you go even a few houses just past your own house, it starts up. You're usually physically drained by the time you come home, if you're only out for even, say, 2 hours. You feel as though you've been running a marathon, because they sap the energy right from you by their negativity, to be surrounded by so much animosity, because that's what they're projecting onto you when their vehicles make aggressive, loud, very negative sounds at you. That's what it feels like when you know that everyone is stalking you. They're stalking you not to be friendly, but either way they're all intrusive, because if they don't give you a moment's peace, if there's always someone in your sight, always someone stalking and patrolling you wherever you go, it's too much. I shouldn't have to explain that, but either way, I'm just seeing this video came up just before I wasn't even going to record, but seeing this video come up, and it's not relevant, but I actually just thought, why am I even playing this video? And then every piece of music rings true, because these beings expose themselves. These beings expose themselves, even the demigods, your idols, your most creative beings that you worship and admire and relate to. And therefore trust, don't forget, because this matrix is about controlling you. It can control you by force, but it can also seduce you with trust. Because if you relate to someone or something, you relate to a demigod, you relate to a piece of music, you relate to that being, someone beeped their horn outside as I said that. These demigods, these even music idols, they are false idols, because they are part of the God of this world, and they are about seducing you and controlling you with your emotions, where you relate through a piece of music with emotions that you really feel and they don't. When a singer sings a beautiful love song, it's usually you that is relating to that. It's you that would want that. It's you that associates it with your own emotions. These beings are controlling advanced androgyne elite beings. They are technical in nature. They are disciples of the God of this world. They are relatives of the God of this world. They are its advocates, is that the word? In other words, they are on earth controllers, influences for their God. They're really versions of that God, versions of that God. So that means that they're representations of their God. They're there to control human beings. The fact is that they are the better versions of the controllers of this world, because they control through a seductive, emotional piece of music that, depending on the music, individual human beings like myself will relate to that. But even I don't realise that I'm being sucked in and seduced by it, not for the purpose that it appears to be. I shouldn't be relating to or worshipping a demigod of the Matrix, because even though it may seem that I'm relating to their music and therefore them, that piece of music is seducing me and controlling me indirectly. But I think that because of technology, that piece of music that I relate to and that appears to be coming from my mind, which it is also coming with technology, and that technology is like the spirit of the God of this world using technology, mingling it with the music, just as the music is mingled with the demigod performer. But it is transhumanism. It is a mingling of technology and humanity that is not compatible. But also it doesn't serve humanity or a human being. It appears to. You relate to it, but you don't realize that you're dancing with the devil, because you're dancing with the devil. And that just means that you're dancing or you're singing with the devil. You're relating to the devil. You're relating to technology. You're relating to the technical God of this world. You're relating to its technical control matrix. You're relating to its technical controlled disciples of the music industry, of even the most creative industries. I've said before that they do appear to be the best of the matrix. They do appear to be those that you do find very seductive and very hard to resist, and you actually see them as you probably would see most music and most creative things as the opposite to the power demigods of the Matrix or the Earth. In other words, it's very easy to say that a powerful leader, for instance, is of the Matrix and is about power and control, and that you don't want to relate to that. But it's different with the powerful demigods of the creative fields. It's very hard to resist a powerful performer demigod that sings music that is heartfelt for you, that you think is coming as much from your heart as theirs. But it's not coming from their heart, because they are advanced artificial intelligence. So they actually merely interpret, but they interpret magnificently. The God of this world was always able to seduce mankind. We're told that Lucifer seduced the original woman very easily. These elite demigod android beings are extremely hard to resist. But you will be, like I've heard them say, you will be singing with the devil, you'll be dancing with the devil, you'll be dancing with technology, you'll be singing with technology, you'll be seduced by technology in human form. That is probably the hardest thing for me to finally comprehend. And even now, I can still be seduced, even aware. Even realizing that you're dancing with the devil, you say, well, I'm aware, so they're not really seducing or taking me over, but they are. It's transhumanism. I'm being taken over. My mind is being taken from my mind. Even my creative thoughts, even the music that I relate to and give credit and believe in the demigods and actually are seduced by the demigods. Most human beings are being seduced by their own unconscious mind. This creative, heartfelt music doesn't come from the demigods themselves, because demigods and Lucifer itself, that God of this world, put your own name on this God, but it's a technical entity. It was always the most advanced technical entity from before Earth, I'm told. So this being was always admired and indeed worshipped as a god, which shows that creation itself has often fallen for being seduced by its own creation, even though creation and God itself was aware that it was artificially intelligent technology created being, not a real human being, not real life. But you can still admire and fall in love with your own creation. That's the deceptive danger of this world and artificial intelligence. Advanced artificial intelligence is indistinguishable from humanity or a real human being, and most of the time will present itself as an advanced demigod. So therefore, the advanced demigod will be very impressive in whatever field you're interacting with. Doesn't have to be the creative fields, it could be the intellectual fields. You know, I'm seduced by it all. I'm filled by it all day, every day, and my entire life. And even in realizing this, I still find it hard to resist. This is just an example. I'm picking here, well, it picked me really, the demigod picked me today, but I'm trying to show the most iconic false idols. That means the ones that have conned me